What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today is Meta Monday. If you're not sure what that is, it's where we take a look of the deck of the week that's been doing well or has done well in a tournament. And this week we are taking a look at the Film Kid deck that just got second place at the Carta Charger Cup. Now, I would have done the first place deck profile, but the first place deck was Law, and considering we did it last week, I didn't want to repeat myself, and this deck is really unique. So the point of this deck is with Kid, you are able to double attack. We all know how good Kid is when your opponent's at 1 life with low resources. You just do a 12k swing into a 12k swing. And there's nothing they can really do, especially if they have no life. But the other cards that are in the deck are all film related. Now let me hide the face cam real quick, just so you guys can see. So the whole point of this deck is that when you are at 7 Dawn, you can play down the blocker Luffy, and from that you can play down a Brook, and from the Brook playdown you can play Bart. I'm gonna call him Bart because I have a hard time pronouncing his name. You can play down Bart, and this is the event pack exclusive card. So these cards were around $20. They might have gone up. We'll check on what to buy Wednesday. But the point of this is you play the Luffy into the Brook, into the Bart, and that establishes a board presence to where on the following turn you can swing with your Monkey D. Luffy, 7k base, and at the end of the turn, you just untap, you just rest the Bart in order to restand the Luffy. Similar to the effect of the 7-drop Kid. I'll post it right now just so you guys can see the reference. Technically, you attack with it, and it's a blocker, it's a big beefy blocker, so the Monkey D. Luffy tends to do the same thing. And this is at the end of your turn, so you can actually commit your Dawn where how you want it, and then just rest this. And with it only being a 2 cost, you do play 4, which means that you are able to actually go through your deck and find cards. And the neat searcher with it is Nami. Now, when you are at 5 Dawn, or even 4 if you go second, you can play the Nami, tap 1, and you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and you reveal up to 1 film type other than Nami and put it in your hand. So this can grab a lot of searchers, especially the film Straw Hat Crew Chopper that is a 2k counter. The deck does play Heavy Punk Gibson, just to make it to where you deplete your opponent of a ton of resources like Kid normally does, except this one is more control based as far as being able to attack with blockers but also block at the end of the turn. And then there's also the 3 sword style Onigiri. This is a 6,000 combo card, and when you use it, you can play a character with a cost of 3 or less without an effect, and that's where the cards like Usopp come in. It's a 3-drop, 5,000 power, great attacker if you absolutely need to. And then there's just some other cards. There is the Paradise Totsuka, and I did mention this in the Tech Tuesday videos. A great green card if you are considering to play green, not only because of the trigger, but the main effect, you can rest an opponent's character for 1 Dawn that has a cost of 4 or less. So this means that you don't have to play Izo for 3 Dawn. You can just pay 1 Dawn and rest a Borsalino if you're wanting to get rid of it, and it's just a fantastic card. Now, overall, this list is really fun. I hope you do enjoy it. The deck is really intriguing, so congrats to the person that got second place. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but congrats to him. Great deck, fantastic idea. I absolutely loved it. But if you guys do enjoy today's video, remember to smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and enjoy the gameplay. I'll catch you guys on Tech Tuesday. Alright guys, so here we are playing the Kid film deck that I showcased in the deck profile, and this deck seems like a lot of fun. I'm gonna be kind of looking for some setup turns. Now this is pretty good as we do have 2 Bonnie and we do have Punk Gibson as well as Nami. So Nami is a good 4 curve, especially because we can play her and then also do the search. So I think that that's what we're gonna try and go for. So the first thing that we're gonna do, sorry about that, is I think we're gonna play Bonnie and just search right off the rip, because next turn being at 4, we're gonna use Nami's ability. And let's see, with the Bonnie we can grab a Supernova card. So we can actually grab the Bartholomew or the Basil Hawkins, and considering this is a black matchup, his hand is going to be depleted a lot. and he's going to be able to pop characters. So I think that the more we have access to, the better. So I think we're going to just grab the Bartholomew, because Bartholomew is going to work out. I'm going to call it Bartholomew, even though it's a Bartolomeo. However you say it, I'm going to call him Bart. With it, you can actually restand. You can swing with the Luffy and technically tap it to restand it, so it actually works out really well. So here's a Kobe. Now the Kobe's going to be able to KO the Bonnie. I'm not sure if that was the best play to do, just because, yes, it gets rid of a searcher, but technically speaking, he could have swung at it. Okay, so we do get the Brook, which is great. So that means that on the 4, we can actually go Brook into Nami. So there's no trigger effect. So I think, okay, looking at this, let's see. I want to try and look for the Luffy, because Luffy's effect, we can play the Brook, and then Brook will let us play the Bart, or we can play another Nami and search and things like that. So considering we're going to be using everything, I'm just going to do a 5k swing, just so that way I don't get hit with Punk Gibson or something like that. That's weird. And then we'll do Nami, we'll use the card action, and we'll actually grab the Luffy. Now as you can see right here, Luffy, play a character with a cost of 4 or less, then play a cost with a 3 or less. Sadly, there's nothing that has when you go 4, 3, 2, 1. So there's no way to quickly fill your board like that, but having these in hand is actually fantastic. So, and this allows us to get double Luffy down if we wanted to. And Luffy being a great attacker, it also means that we can restand things like Brook, which means that we're only sacrificing a 3k in place of a 5k. So it works out amazingly. And we do have Punk Gibson too, so his hand is looking really good. Now against black, especially with the cards that we can get down to possibly swing the next turn, if you really think about it, that means that at 9, we can play the Luffy into the Brook, into the Bart, and then we can actually have 2 open, which would be good. Now, I'm not really wanting to do that. And with Nami especially, considering on the 8 curve we can go 7, 4, 2, swing with Nami and activate, it makes things a lot better for how our overall plan is going to work. Now this Kuzan does make things a little bit awkward. Okay, so here's a 5k swing. This we're going to take, and we do get the double Luffy, which is great. So here's another 5k swing. We're just going to dump the Bonnie for that. I think it is apparent that we try and get Hawkins soon, because Hawkins is a great card, especially versus black, because we can actually not have to deal with these. Now, if we could get another Brook, that'd be fantastic. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to swing 5k. We use the card action. There is Usopp. Usopp's good. Or we can get a 2k counter. Now, looking at our hand, I think the 2k counter is going to be... We'll grab the Usopp, because Usopp we can play. And then we get another 5k body. And then, as I said, on 8, we still can make a ton of things work. And we do have Punk Gibson too, so we're just going to swing 5. This is going to force him to dump even more cards in his hand, so I'm completely fine with that. Okay, so he lets it go. That's fine. Then here, we're going to play the Usopp. We're going to leave 2 open. That way we can still help the Nami to survive, and if he absolutely wants to KO everything, then he has to deplete his hand of a lot of resources. And considering next turn is 8, we can do Luffy turns back to back. And if we can get this Nami to live without being interrupted, then it'll be even better. So he does have 3 left, which means he can technically play a Kobe. But I'm not too worried about the Kobe right now, because then that means he only has 2 5k swings, and we can easily counter out of that, as well as Punk Gibson the Borsellino and have swings on it the next turn. Okay, so there's no Kobe coming. So there's a 6k swing. I think what we're going to do right now is we're just going to do the Punk Gibson to tap. So it gives the -3 to the Usopp. So that's fine. Okay, so he chooses to get rid of this, which is interesting. Because we're going to have 2 attacks plus blockers that come through, and considering that we have the... okay. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to swing 5, and we'll use the card action, and we'll just grab the Usopp. Because if he wants to save this, he has to drop 2 cards because there's going to be 2 swings coming at it. So he chooses to save it, that's fine. So then we're going to do another 5k swing. I want to try and deplete him of as many resources as possible before I start to set up my board, because that's when things get important. So we're going to select a target, we're going to play the Brook, and then Brook will let us play the Bart. And then next turn we can actually double Luffy, and it will be great. Now I am going to sacrifice this so that way I can play the restand the Nami, and we actually might have a better play, because if we do Nami then we can do Luffy again. So we're going to end turn, we're going to restand. He's going to be able to KO this, but I'm not too worried about that. If it's only a 5k swing, we can just block it with 7. And we have a good amount of combo in our hand, so I don't feel worried about how this is going to go either. Not to mention with Kid, we do have double swings. So being able to double swing and restand our leaders makes it work fantastic. So he does play the Smoker. Now the Smoker can be a bit overwhelming. So, and there is the Don Quixote blocker. It's going to be interesting seeing how he wants to go about this. Because he can only do a 6k swing now, or he can do 7 with leader, but there's nothing that's too harmful that I'm absolutely going to have to deal with. So he chooses to go 7. We'll just block with the Luffy and get rid of a 2k. So yeah, we'll just go Luffy block, and then we'll just give him a 2k. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so now looking at this hand, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put 1 on Nami, and we're going to swing and use her ability. And we do get a Brook. Now that's fantastic, because now we can double Luffy into some very fun things. Okay, so he chooses to take, which is fine. Now if I double Luffy, okay, so let's do this. Let's go 7k, because this can restand our blocker, so we are okay. So he chooses to take. Now does he get a trigger? If he gets a trigger, then that's unfortunate, but I'm not too stressed about it. Looking at our hand, we have a lot of combo. Everything has combo unless it's a blocker, so I am not stressed at all. Okay, so he chooses to Impact Wave and KO the Nami. I'm completely fine with that, because we can do a 6k swing into a 5k. Let's do the 5k first, because I want to see if he's going to tap the Borsellino for the free block. Okay, so there's that. So that's fine. So then we can do a 6k swing and see if he wants to block it. If he wants to block it, that's fantastic. Okay. So now what I think we're going to do, we're going to play the Luffy down. Okay. So yeah, this is what we're going to do. Okay, we'll play the Luffy. And then we can play the Brook, and then Brook can go into the Zoro, or we could just Luffy into Zoro. I don't think there's anything that I really want to loop right now, so I think I'm just going to play the Zoro because that's another 7k body with a Dawn attached. And we still have 2 blockers, and we can restand, and we have combo, and we have another Bart in hand. So we'll just end the turn here. We'll restand the Monkey D. Luffy. And now we have a blocker too, just in case he, you know, wants to go for the double attack now. I'm not too worried about the double attack. I'm gonna block it most likely, but at the end of the day, I'm not in lethal range right now. There's no way that he can deal 4 points of damage and get rid of 2 blockers. It's just fully impossible. Let's see what he chooses to do. Because he could swing Kuzan. Kuzan's 5k swing, and then he can put a lot of Dawn on the smoker, but then it comes down to... So there's an 8k swing. So he can minus anything that he wants. Okay, so there's the -4. So he chooses to do 8k. I'm fine with this, because next turn I plan on doing enough damage to where I don't have to worry about lethal. So there's an 8k. Now to, okay, 9k. Okay. Now technically, we could go 9, 10. But then his leader swings. I still have to dump 2 cards. I think what I'm going to do right now is we'll just say no blocker. And the question is, am I safe to take this? I think I am, because I have 2 blockers. Yeah, I'm fine with taking this. And we can actually go for lethal next turn because we got the trigger effect, which is good. So yeah, no trigger effect. And we have another Luffy too, which is fantastic. Okay, so there's the other smoker. So he's completely tapped out. Now he is in lethal range. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to play down the other Luffy. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a... We'll do a 7k swing on the Kuzan, just to see and test his hand, see how he wants to do everything. Because if he wants to save it, he has to dump 2 cards out of his hand. And I don't think he's not willing to do that. Then we can go 7, 8 into the Borsalino. So he's not blocking attacks that are 2k higher, so we can actually... let's see. With the blocks, I'm not too worried, especially considering how my hand is. So this is what we'll do. We'll go 9, because I want him to dump cards, because if he does, then I'm perfectly okay with going for lethal. If not, then we'll have to play it a little bit longer. Okay, so let's see. We can't play the Luffy anymore, but we do have double Bart. And then that'll leave 4 Dawn open. And considering his hand, we're going to play the slow game here because it's safer. And we're going to try and deplete him of all of his resources. Because with the double Bartholomew, we can unrest the Luffy's, and there's nothing that black has that plays rush, so we're safe right now to just swing 9 at the smoker, just so that way there's no extra things that he can do the following turn, and with our combo we're perfectly okay. So we're just gonna swing 9 because next turn we'll go for lethal. Okay. Then we'll end our turn, and we'll choose this one and go here, and then we'll go here, and we're good to go. There's no way that he's going to blow through these defenses, and considering the cards in his hand, we can even swing with the Bards if we need to. But I think this is just GG from here. Yep, our opponent concedes. There's nothing that he can really do. You know, he could have played another character if he wanted to, but considering we had the blockers, you know, we could take one attack and then block the other. And there was no way he was getting rid of a second blocker unless he 10-drop Kuzan, but even then that wouldn't do anything. So we would just be able to deplete him of a lot of resources. The Zoro could swing for 7 to dump 2, or he's forced to take. And we have 2 5k swings with the Bards. You know, if he wants to block him, he has to dump 2, and then Leader has 2 swings too. It just, the math did not work out for my opponent. But, you know, this deck is a lot of fun. I would highly suggest that you try it. It is unfortunate that I got second place and didn't beat Law. The game was a little bit of a dead draw on the kid side, but overall this deck's a lot of fun. So if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's Tech Tuesday.